This is Des from According to Des. Welcome to my podcast where I interview people from around the world with passions, hobbies, or side hustles trying to live their best lives by following their dreams and pursuing their goals. Get ready to be inspired by today's guest, Agnese. She is just amazing. So she travels around the world. She did a year-long trip around the world. She's originally from Italy, but she now resides in Dublin. She is such an inspiration. Not only does she travel the world, but she also tries to do it in a sustainable way. She has her website, Travel Notes, where she gives great stories, pictures, itineraries, tips, everything you need to know about traveling the world. I'm so excited to talk to her today. Let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm here with Agnese, so thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me here. This is my first podcast, so very excited.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm so excited. I wanted to interview you because, we've been following each other on Instagram for a long time, and you're a world traveler, which I think is so cool. So I had a lot of questions for you about your world travels and everything. So I guess I just want to start with, where are you from? Where do you live now?
I am originally from Italy. It's this place in the south of the country called Salento, but I haven't lived there in like 10 years. I lived a little bit around Europe, so Austria and Spain, and now I've been living in Ireland for a while. So I think this is my second home for now.
Wow, that's great. When did you move to Ireland?
The first time I moved here in 2012, and then it was a bit of this thing like going back home, moving somewhere else, and then always coming back here. So I'm really in love with this place.
What part of Ireland are you in?
Right now I'm living in Dublin.
Oh, great. That's so exciting. Do you go back to Italy to visit family?
I try to go every year, especially in the summer, because it's such a nice place there. Sometimes people are like, people, who live abroad, they're like, oh, I have to go back home for my holidays. I have to like waste my holidays. And I'm just so excited because it's a nice place back home. It's nice sea. So
Yeah, very nice. And did your family support you moving to another place?
yeah, they've always been very happy for me. I was talking about like moving somewhere else since I was in high school, so they knew it was going to happen. They were very worried at the start, especially like not so much when they know like I'm leaving somewhere else, but when I go traveling, especially if it's on my own, they get worried. But they're always very supportive, and then like they talk about it with their friends and everybody. They're like, "Oh, my daughter goes everywhere." Yeah, they're very
Oh,
supportive that way.
oh, very nice. So you said you knew that you wanted to live somewhere else since high school.
In Italy, you can choose your modules even in high school before you go to college, based on what you think you're going to want to study once you're out of high school. And I always picked subjects like languages or cultures and things like that because I always wanted like to go somewhere else, learn a new language, learn a new culture. So that was the plan all the time. And even with my college degree, I only did 1 year in Italy, and then I did 1 year in Spain and 1 year in Ireland. So that was the plan all along.
Oh, wow. And what did you study in college then? What was your degree in?
My bachelor's degree was in translation and cultural mediation, which made me want to travel even more after I was like learning about all these cool things. Then my master's degree was international relations, again, something like that is very useful if you want to travel around.
Oh, wow. So do you travel for work? What is your job now?
Right now, I work for an environmental NGO in Ireland. Actually, I'm their communications officer. So I take care of all the things, like social media, but also the press, email campaigns, and graphic design, all this kind of stuff. And this has been my dream job for a long time. Funny enough, the reason why I got this job was because I traveled so much and volunteered around places around South America mainly. So it's just so nice to be able to get your dream job just because you did something that you really liked.
That's amazing. Not a lot of people could say that. That's really cool.
Yeah, I feel very lucky about this.
Wow. And how long have you been working at this job?
It's 1 year now. So yeah, started around February last year. It's an environmental NGO. I work across two programs, and one is about removing litter across Irish towns and cities, and the other one is about protecting the ocean. So not only removing plastic from the ocean, but also prevention of ocean pollution. And also we organize events about the link between a clean environment and the ocean and mental health. which I think it's very nice.
Oh, that's amazing. That sounds like a really great and important job too. And it goes along with your passions of traveling too. So that's great.
Yeah, because I unfortunately I don't get to travel around the world, but I get to travel a lot around Ireland, so it's a chance to discover new places here that maybe I wouldn't go to if it wasn't for work.
Very nice. And how often do you travel?
So now that I have a full-time job, unfortunately, I don't travel as much as I want to, but the plan is to have one big trip a year and then smaller trips around Europe. So even some weekends away or, when we have bank holidays. And of course, I always try to go at least 2 weeks back home. So the plan for this year was to go to Asia because I haven't been there yet. I was planning to go to Vietnam and Cambodia, but we'll see what happens with all it that's been going on now.
I just did a trip end of 2018. I did the opposite. I did Thailand and Laos.
It's been amazing.
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. I love Asia, so I think you'll really like it. But my next trip to Asia, I want to do the same thing that you were planning, Cambodia and Vietnam.
Hopefully we'll get there this year.
I hope so. I hope so. And what was your first big major trip?
I did a lot because, Europe, especially when I was living in Austria, it's so easy to get around. You get on a bus, you get on a train, in the 2 hours you are in different places. But I'd say the first very big trip I did was in October 2017 when I left for one full year to travel full time, just backpacking. And that was really the most amazing experience of my life.
Wow. So your first big trip was traveling for a year?
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Where
know.
did you go?
The plan was to do South America for a few months, but then once I was done in South America, I really didn't want to leave and go back home. So I kept traveling across Central America and then the US as well. It was just so nice. I really wish everybody could do this and see how amazing it is.
That is amazing. And how did you plan that? How long did it take you to plan that kind of trip?
Actually, there was no planning at all, except the only planned part was obviously when I was saving for the trip. I only knew that during this trip, I wanted to visit Patagonia after seeing this amazing documentary about this place, and that I wanted to do some volunteering experiences. But other than that, I just didn't plan anything at all. And this was one of the main things about this trip that was just like so helpful for me, for my mental health as well. Because when you don't have a plan, you are just so free to decide what you want to do. You don't have to have anything basically. You're just so free, and it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
Oh, wow. And you did this trip for a year by yourself?
No, I was traveling with my partner. We were saving originally for a house in Ireland, and then after a while we were like, no, let's just go traveling. Sounds more fun.
Oh, wow. People always ask me, how do you afford to travel? So what do you say about that? How do you afford to take these big trips around the world?
Like you said, I know you travel a lot too, so I'm sure after they ask you this question, some people also say, oh, you're so lucky, or I wish I had your money to travel. And sometimes it gets a bit annoying. But the main advice I would have for people is that you should just save for something that you like. And now I know there's some people who really like clothes, for example. So they buy lots of clothes. Some people really like going out and they spend their money to go out, to go to a club, to go to a pub or whatever. I like traveling, so I save for that. Now that I have these small trips around Europe, I don't save that much because I know it's more affordable. Flights are very cheap. You can get trains around and very cheap. But before my big trip, I was doing some small things like I didn't buy clothes for a whole year. I didn't eat out that much unless it was really necessary. I wasn't going out. I wasn't going to the cinema. So sometimes people just assume you're super rich, but it's just you have the same money as them. It's just a matter of choosing how you spend them. And because I'm so passionate about traveling, all my money go to travel.
Right. That's so true. That's the same with me too. I don't really eat out. I don't get like new technology or anything, and I don't go to the movies and stuff. So I think people don't realize it's not about how much you make. It's about how much you're not spending and allot that money to what you're passionate about.
Exactly. Like maybe I'm talking like this because I don't really like going out every weekend anyway. So it's not, or like all I like doing every weekend would be anyway like going out out for a hike, which is free. You just choose what you're passionate about and just try to pursue that. And for me, it's traveling. It's a very easy choice for me.
And I think people don't realize too that once you buy the plane ticket or the train ticket or bus ticket or whatever, it's pretty cheap once you're in that location because there's so many free things to do. And like you said, going hiking, going to a park or the beach, walking around a city, those things are all free. So once you're in the location, you don't have to spend that much money if you don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. And even accommodation wise, I'm sure like I saw some of your stories and pictures on Instagram, and I'm sure you understand this too. Like you don't have to be in the 5 stars hotel to enjoy a place. You can get some simple accommodation that sometimes are even better, more sustainable than other more expensive ones.
Absolutely. And that's something I wanted to talk to you about too. So you're very into sustainability and you talk about on your website, which I want to get to also, but you talk about on your website traveling sustainably. How do you do that?
This is another question I get asked a lot. And unfortunately, when it comes to travels, it's very hard to say like you are 100% sustainable because, as you know, flying is very bad for the environment.
Mm-hmm.
But as much as I can, I try to offset my carbon footprint, not only when I'm traveling, but there's some things that you can do when you're home as well. So things like, for example, avoiding waste. And this can be done with things like using solid toiletries, for example, which take even less space in your backpack for when you're traveling. Avoiding taking paper brochures, because now we can see everything on our phones. So there's really no need for all these paper maps and stuff. I don't know, bringing a reusable water bottle, even though I know that sometimes this is not possible because when you visit some countries, you can't drink water from the tap. There's a lot of small things that you can use, that you can do so that you try to avoid your waste. For example, if I'm going for a hike, I bring always a pair of gloves and a bag and collect some litter I found along the way. And I think that's a nice way to give back to a place you're visiting.
That's great that you do that. So you do that every time you travel?
Yeah, I do it because sometimes you're just walking on a beach or up a mountain, you see a plastic bottle just there, and you're like, who left this here? It's just,
Mhm.
why would you do that? So it's nice to just try to take care of a new place, even though a different place. Of course, like there's a lot of other things you can do. You can choose eco accommodation, even tours. There's a lot of tours agencies that give back to their community. They employ people from the local community or they support conservation efforts. I know I talked to you before about your experience at the elephant sanctuary. So there are
Yes.
things you can do. You can still enjoy the same things, but the important thing is choosing who you go with, and that makes the difference.
Exactly. I always love going on ethical tours, such as the sanctuaries. And in Belize, I went to an ethical zoo. It's a zoo, but they actually rescue injured animals. So they're not buying animals. And they kind of built the zoo in the natural habitat. They built it around it. So the animals have a lot of room to roam and they're in their natural habitat and they're all rescues. So visiting ethical places like that is really helpful because they do also employ the local people there.
Exactly. So you're doing your part also to support the community. It's not just about the environment, it's the whole image.
Yeah, exactly. Very cool. And how many countries have you been to?
So in total, 28.
Wow.
Which
Wow.
I like counting. It seems like a lot, but then when you see how many countries there are out there, it's a very small number.
It does. I agree. Whenever I think I've been to 13 or 14, and I always think, like, oh, that's so much. And then in the grand scheme, I'm like, I've been nowhere.
Yeah, no. We have time.
Yeah, many more places to go. So you have your website. Can you tell me about that? What it's called, when you started it?
Yeah, so my website is called Travel Notes. The name is very simple because I had this folder on my small laptop when I was traveling called Travel Notes, where I was collecting all pictures and some notes I was taking while visiting places, especially because some people back home were asking me for advice. And then once I sent it to them, they started telling me, oh, you should share it on a blog, you should share it on a website, you will help a lot of people. So after actually I came back from my 1 year trip in October 2018, I started writing. I gave it a shot and I started writing about Mexico. And I took my travel diary that I was writing while I was away. And as I was writing the first blog post, it was just so nice because all these nice memories were coming back to me. So this blog really is a way of giving advice to other people, but also it's so great because it helps me keep all the memories from the travels alive. And it's so great. It's nice also being able to help other people, you know. Before traveling, I usually much prefer reading a blog of somebody else that has been there rather than like a book or something about it.
Right, absolutely. And that's kind of how my blog started as well. I started because I wanted to kind of use it as almost a diary to remember funny stories and pictures and videos. And that's kind of how mine started too, is just for myself.
And it's nice when you see that other people are interested in your story as well and then interact with you on the blog. And it's like, oh, I wrote something nice and people are interested.
Yeah, it's so great. And I usually try to help people plan their trips too. A lot of people will ask me, "Oh, you've been here. Do you have any advice?" Like, I love that. And that's because I post on Instagram and my website. So it's kind of nice to have those interactions and inspire other people to travel as well. I'm sure your travels and your
Yeah.
year-long trip always inspire people to travel.
Absolutely. And you know, sometimes you talk to your friends and they're so sick of listening to you talking about this. It's nice that you can talk to different people for a change. They actually want to listen to you.
Yeah, that's so true. People you can relate to, people who have similar interests and passions. Yeah, absolutely. What are some tips? Because a lot of people don't feel like they can travel. They have full time jobs, they have kids, or they don't have a lot of money. But a lot of people want to travel the world. And I'm sure people look at your Instagram and your website and think, oh, I would love to be able to do that. Do you have any tips for people that really want to get into traveling?
I'm sure you know about this, but the main thing is a bit of organization. Of course, it depends. Like for an experience like the one I had before, where I just quit my job and went traveling, then you have all the time in the world, so you don't need much planning. But if you have a full-time job, you should plan enough and like try to keep all your holidays and days off for these things. So first of all, if people are thinking about taking a full year to travel, I would say just do it. No matter if you're just out of college, it doesn't matter if you have a job. Like I said, traveling helped me get my dream job. So who knows what opportunities you will have after you travel for a year. So absolutely do it. And then for people who just want to organize smaller trips and a trip a year, like again, they should really do it. If they're worried about money, there's always ways. Like out there are so many blogs that help you plan your trips, and there's so many ways to save. And usually, actually, there is this link between traveling more sustainably and travels being cheaper, you know? So if you go with a big European or American company, sometimes it's more expensive. But if you actually support the local communities and go with the more authentic experience, it's also cheaper. They should try to organize that themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always recommend too that you don't have to do a big out of the country trip. If you just drive or take a train like 5, 7 hours, you're in a whole new exciting place. So I think people don't
Yeah,
realize that they could just take a weekend trip. I love weekend trips because it really feels like a
they're
refreshing.
amazing. And
Yeah.
sometimes you find places you never expected. I've been in Dublin for 5 years and I still find new places in Dublin itself. I don't even need to leave the city. It's just like, where was this all this time? It's just nice what you can find.
Exactly. People don't realize that just a few hours away, there's just such cool little special gems that they don't realize. So it's nice to just look outside of your community a little bit. And that's a good way to start, I think, too.
Exactly. Just like you said, it doesn't have to be a huge trip. It can be also a couple of days. But then I'm sure once they start traveling and they see how it feels, they won't be able to stop either. It's just such a nice feeling, for me at least.
Yeah, exactly.
I just assume all people have the same feeling about this. But some people might also like to stay at home, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. Exactly. Do you have any places that have been your favorite trip or somewhere you would love to return to that was just really special to you?
There's so many places. I really loved all of South America, really. It was so nice because it's so different, you know, from Europe. Everything was so new because here you can move from one country to another and you will notice some differences, but it's still kind of the same. Instead, there was just completely different. If I had to choose a place, the first one that always comes to mind is Ecuador. And the reason
Oh,
why I'm saying this is because there I visited the Amazon forest for a week.
wow.
And it was just such an amazing place. Do you know when you watch those documentaries about nature and you see like all the bird and the river? It was just so amazing. And it was nice also to get to know the community who lives there. And you would be surprised how there are still these people who live so in contact with nature and respect nature so much. It was just a unique experience, and I would go back there anytime.
That's amazing. Yeah, I would love that. That's definitely a dream trip of mine for sure.
Yeah, you should go.
I would
I can
love
help you
to.
plan it.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. And for those of you who don't know who are listening, I'm supposed to go to Ireland this July. You helped me plan that trip so much. You gave me so many good recommendations and helped me with my itinerary and everything. So I was really grateful for that.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to love it. There's so much to see. Unfortunately, there are not many big mountains in Ireland, but there are so many nice small villages, so many nice sea places, culture. It's just amazing. And obviously, I'm sure you know people are so nice here, so everybody will be able to help you. If they see you in the street and you ask for information, they will let you know where to go.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, I'm really excited. I hope that I can still go. If I can't go this summer, I'll try to do it next summer. But yeah, who knows with everything going on? I don't know what's going to happen.
Hopefully, we will be able to go back to travel soon, and hopefully, the situation will get better also for the people who are like in a bad place right now.
I hope so. So another thing I wanted to ask you about your brand, your website, you collaborate with other brands. Can you tell me about that? What you do with these other brands and you're a travel ambassador?
Yeah, so it just started. Most of them are just small collaborations. So it's a very typical one. They give you a discount code that you can promote and you just put it on your website. They're not my favorite type of collaborations. I much prefer, like you said, the travel ambassador one. I'm not sure if I can say the name of the brand I collaborate with. It's a pretty famous search website that compares flights, prices, hotel prices, car rental, and all these kind of things. And more than a collaboration, it's a proper program that this brand created. You become part of a community of other travel bloggers from all around Europe for now, but they're thinking about expanding it also to the US and Australia. This was great for me because I started collaborating with them when I started my blog too. So besides the money aspect, it's also great because they give you a lot of tips on how to build your blog, what content to create. They give you like a lot of things you can choose. Then also a lot of visibility because when you create content, they share it on their website, they share it on their social media. And it's a nice way if you're thinking about launching your Instagram account, for example, or your website. It's a great way to give visibility to it. And also you're part of this community, like I said. There's a lot of other travel bloggers, a lot of other travelers. So anything you need, if you're like, oh, I'm thinking about organizing a trip to Thailand, and everybody will like, yeah, you do this, and this. Like you have so many ideas there. Or if you need something with your blog, even like more technical stuff, help on how to like fix something, everybody's like, hey, let me take a look. It's so nice to be surrounded by the people who have the same interests and are so willing to help. Yeah, this was basically the travel ambassador program that it's actually paused right now because of what is going on, but it's basically being part of a community, and then like at the end it comes the money aspect. But the main thing for me was like learning how to grow my website and social media profiles.
Oh, very nice. That sounds like a great opportunity. Do you reach out to these brands and collaborations, or do they reach out to you, or is it a mix of both?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. For this one, I saw it on Instagram and I decided to apply for it. The application was just a very simple question like, tell us why you love traveling. I was like, this is very easy. I can say this. Because like I said, I didn't have a blog yet, so they didn't have much to look at. But they liked my answer and they were like, hey, we're just looking for people with the same passion as us. It was very good. And they also try to share a kind of travel that I support. So the sustainable travel, but also like open-minded travel, you know? So empathy towards other people. I think it's just a very nice message that they're trying to promote overall.
Oh, absolutely. That sounds really great. Something I love about your Instagram and your website is that your pictures are gorgeous. Your pictures are really, really beautiful. Do you use your
Thank you.
phone or do you use a camera?
A bit of both. I use my phone if I'm just out, like around Ireland or back home. Don't bring my camera with me. But I recently got a little bit into photography now. I'm far from being a professional, but I like reading about it. I like taking pictures of beautiful natural places. I'm trying also to read some books about it. It's nice. I use my camera, and sometimes I also use a GoPro,
Oh, okay.
you
Yeah.
know, for the more active stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
There's so
great.
much to learn because sometimes I look at my pictures and like these are amazing, but then you see, you know, on Instagram sometimes there's some pictures that you're like, how did they get this? I want to
Yeah.
be like this.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. But no, I think your pictures are gorgeous.
No, thank you.
So, how do you think traveling the world has changed your life or your perspective about life?
Well, for now, the main thing, like I said before, was it allowed me to finally get my dream job just as I was about to give up and
Oh,
try to
yeah.
find something. So that's the main thing. But there are so many things. Like you learn so much when you travel. You learn
Oh,
about other
definitely.
cultures. You learn other languages as well because you have the opportunity to practice them on the place. But I also think it gives you a lot of empathy towards other people. You become more open minded. You understand more other people. Like it's just this natural thing that you understand that everything is relative to where you live or where you grew up. And like, you accept more other people's views, I think, overall. It made me more confident. I knew that like when I was away for a long time and I didn't plan anything, I was always able to like come out of difficult situations. Not that I found like very bad ones, but you know, even smaller things may seem big. So once you're back, you're just like more confident, you know, that like there is a solution for almost everything.
Yeah, that's so true. And are you fluent in any other languages?
So, well, of course, I speak Italian and
Mm-hmm.
Spanish, which I had the chance. I lived in Spain before, but also I had the chance to speak it while I was traveling through Latin America. And then I speak a little bit of French and Russian.
Oh,
Russian was
wow.
actually part of my university degree because the plan was to move there one day.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Do you still want to move to Russia?
I don't know, but I definitely want to go there for a trip. One of my dreams is to do the Trans-Siberian.
Oh,
So
yeah.
hopefully.
Oh, great. So obviously, traveling is your passion, it's your life, but you have other cool hobbies too. You do aerial stuff and you do all these low arts kind of things. Can you tell me about that? Because I also do that kind of stuff. My sister is an aerialist and I
Oh,
do,
that's great.
yeah, and I do hooping.
Oh, that's amazing. So you know how it
Oh,
feels being
yes.
in the air.
So I don't do the
Yeah.
air stuff, but my sister does. I'm kind of scared up high.
I was doing like floor acrobatics before, but just for a year before I started traveling. And then I gave it up while I was away because obviously I didn't have a chance to keep practicing. But that was one of my dreams when I was a kid. But because I grew up in a small town, we obviously didn't have schools that were doing that. And it wasn't that popular either. So I never had the chance. And then once I was back in Dublin again and I started my new job, I just went to a taster workshop once and I was, oh, I'll just try this. And I fell in love straight away. There's such a nice feeling of being in the air. You feel so free. It's a
Oh,
nice activity. It's a nice workout as well.
oh yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Do you do any performances or do you do it just for fun?
I do it just for fun for now. I was actually supposed to be in a show 2 weeks ago, but then with all that happened, the show was postponed. I'm okay with that. I don't know if I was ready. It was
Oh,
a bit scary.
oh. Well, I hope that show still happens. Maybe by the time it rolls around, you'll be ready by then.
Yeah, yeah.
What is next for you? Do you have any goals or any plans for your website or your Instagram?
Yeah, so travel wise, like I said, I would like to go to Asia because I've never been there. I always see these amazing pictures, even your pictures, and it looks so nice. So I think it's so worth exploring. For my blog, I would like to complete the section about my year-long trip and then start talking a bit about Ireland and about Italy because I know enough about that, but there's nothing on my blog about it yet.
Right.
So it would be nice to get that section completed. And then I would also like to start some video projects. But videos are so hard to make.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of study behind that I'm trying to get done now.
Oh, definitely. And I take a lot of videos when I travel, and when I get home, I don't want to edit them at all. It takes so long.
Yeah, just so hard. And then sometimes, like, even if you take a video or a picture, it doesn't describe what you saw, and it's so frustrating because you really want to pass that on to people watching it. I think you need to be very good, like, with how you edit the video.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to translate the experience through pictures and videos, definitely. Well, very cool. Well, Agnesa, thank you so much for joining me today. It was so great talking to you, and I just love following your website and your Instagram. It's really inspiring. It's really, really cool to see what you're
Thank you.
doing.
Thanks so much for this experience. It was exciting and it was nice talking to you finally, because I know we talked a bit on Instagram before, but it's always nice to.
Yeah, definitely. This is our first voice to voice interaction, which is nice. Well, thank you so much. Isn't Agnesa such an inspiration? I told you that if you listened to her, you would be inspired to travel the world. She is just amazing and she gives such great tips and inspiration. I love her website. Definitely check out her website and Instagram. Her pictures, like I said, are just gorgeous. So I'm going to link everything in the show notes below that you could find her and check her out and follow her. Agnesa, thank you so much for joining me today. It was such a pleasure to talk to you. It's so nice to talk to people with the same passions of traveling the world and seeing the world and sharing that with other people and giving them tips on how they can do it too. Really, really cool. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I did. Don't forget to follow me at AccordingtoDes and subscribe to my YouTube channel, my podcast. You can find me on everything and join my Facebook group. It's facebook.com/groups/AccordingtoDes. You can find me in there basically every day. I try to catch up on what everybody's doing. Feel free to share stuff in there. So definitely join that community. It's a super fun and encouraging and supportive community, and I really love it. So I'd love to see you there too. Thank you for listening, and until next time.